What are the 3 C's of leadership? Well, you're going to find out today on the Ministry Coach podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ministry Coach podcast, where we bring you weekly tips and tactics to help you fast track the growth and health of your youth ministry. My name is Jeff Lascola. This is
Kristen Lascola.
And today we're actually adding on kind of a third part.
We just can't stop.
Which was a 2-part, but actually we even said before that it could have been a 3-part because of the episode 11.
You're giving me a headache.
So,
I don't know what
to make a long story short, this could be part 4 of what was actually just a 2-part series.
Stick around next week for part 4.5 of what could have been a 1-part series.
Oh, that would make no sense whatsoever. All right, so what's this topic called?
This is called Character Chemistry Competency.
The 3 C's of diamonds. No, that's 4 C's. Clarity, cut,
Carrot.
Cloudiness? No, that's clarity. Any of you who have been engaged recently, the guys, you know what I'm talking about. The 4 C's that at one point in your life are really important.
Cut, clarity.
What was the other one? You just said it.
Carrot.
Doesn't matter.
Dang it. And who even cares? No one ever asks me, what is the clarity of your diamond?
Cubic zirconia. Oh, cubic. That's what it is. Cubic zirconia. That's the 4th. No one can tell the difference.
Cubic.
I don't think so. All right. So 3 C's.
I think we've lost half the listeners by
okay.
now.
Went from 2 to 1.
Okay. So yeah, we're talking about kind of in the same vein of what we've already been talking about of how do you know when you have a good hire? What is a filtration system that you can use for hiring? So you can use this filter of character, competency, and chemistry for either a paid staff position or a volunteer position. It works for either one. Most of the time, I would say that this is for sure on my hire list. And you'll see why in just a second, but either one, if you don't have a paid staff, run your volunteers through the 3 C's of diamond volunteers. They're gems.
All right. So the first C is...
I'm going to start with character because I think that's probably the most important, So character, you could have competency and chemistry, but if you don't have character, we're not going to hire you.
Right.
So you can't really teach character.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those things right out of the gate, clearly you can self-eliminate here, but it's not always so cut and dry.
Right.
So what we talked about, was it last episode that we talked about the red flag check?
You're putting me on the spot. I'm going to say...
Yeah.
Maybe.
You edit them.
I know, right? I don't remember. It was one of the last 2.
Okay, so in this a million part series, we did talk about
2 episodes ago. I'm going for it. I'm putting my money on 2 episodes ago.
Okay. I'm already moving on. So we talked about this thing called a red flag check. So usually what I do is I send, hey, Jeff Lascola would like to email me.
I would love to email you. What can I do?
Whoa, you're moving way too fast.
First of all, what's your email address?
Calm down. All right. So I'll say Jeff Lascola would like to volunteer with the junior high ministry as a small group leader. All comments are welcome. So I usually send that out to staff. Well, if you don't have a big staff and it's not likely that people are going to know this person and you're not getting any feedback, you can also go to people who know this person. It's not like you secretly call up their friends or whatever, but if you happen to know someone who knows them, then you can just say, hey, Jeff a little bit, what's your read on him, and try to get perspective. And you're not digging for dirt. I want to make that really clear, and that we're looking for good stuff just as much as we're looking for bad stuff. All we're trying to do is get a character sketch.
How covert are you with that? Like, do you let them know, like, hey, this person is looking to volunteer?
Yeah.
Or what's your impression of
Totally.
them? Okay.
100%. I'm totally transparent. I'm not
Okay.
like some like little private like investigator on that. So, and then we also talked about after getting feedback from people who may know this person, check their social media. If you missed that episode, we talked about how important it is to look at what kind of stuff they're putting out there publicly, and then watching them as they come and observe your youth group. So how do they treat people? How do they talk to people? What is the vibe that you get on their character? And then definitely spiritual. So now I have to start with character because it's the most important, but it's also the hardest because it's the easiest one to fake. So I just think like, number one, you kind of want to talk to them about like, hey, what's your church record in terms of have you served anywhere before? And if they have, definitely talk to those people. But also just in terms of like, do you attend church regularly? Because sometimes people don't. And I've like had to eliminate people, because it's just like, no one ever sees them at church. They just want to be on some kind of leadership team, but they're not like spiritual at all. Like they're just leader types.
How important is it for you that they go to your church?
It's pretty important to me.
Like, is that
I wouldn't call it a deal breaker.
Right.
I would just need a really good explanation of why, because then I would say, then go serve at that church if you're such a big fan, So if you have beef with our church, then why don't you have beef with my ministry?
Yeah.
And I just want someone who is a raving fan of us.
Makes sense.
Because then it gets weird. Like, hey, like, why do you then people would ask, and then just, I don't know, you'd have to give an answer and it'd be awkward. So, I want to know that they attend church, preferably our church, like you said, regularly. And I want to know that they're in a Bible study. Mm-hmm. So, we try to really be clear with leaders, like, you coming here is overflow, is extra, but where are you building community of your own? I don't know if you've ever seen those leaders that their only community is junior high or high school and they're killer. Like they hang out with students all the time. They're always there. They're there early, but literally they have no other community and it's just not super healthy. So making sure, but like I said, proceed with caution. All you can do is try to get the best character sketch of this person, the best read you can, do your homework, watch, observe, pray for discernment. But in the end, who knows? Because it's the easiest one to fake because you can talk all the spiritual jargon in the world and, some of our leaders fall and it sucks because it reflects on us and our judgment and, how did they get past the gate and all of that. But we do our absolute best to make sure. So once you've decided, all right, like this person seems solid, they seem to love the Lord, they have a great, thriving spiritual life, no one had any concerns, that knows them really well, I've observed them, they seem like their character's on the up and up, then you want to move on to, let's go to chemistry. So chemistry, this is one that is also can be a deal breaker. And this is super subjective because who has chemistry with one person, the other person like has zero. And a little example. So there's another church nearby, let's just say, that they're
like hypothetically, like we're not gonna say close or far.
They exist. That's it. And I always joke.
Why are you holding my wrist?
I'm scared. Hold my hand. I'm scared. Hug me. I'm scared. Guy, now
there is
I have
church.
to hold your wrist.
There is a church
I can't think.
near or far from ours.
Okay, and I always joke with Jeff, and I say, if I were to interview at that church, I don't think I'd get hired. Yeah. And it's not because I don't know ministry. Clearly, I've been doing it for a while. Right. It's because we would have no chemistry. And I know that for a fact because years and years and years ago, we used to go to this camp for winter camp most of the time. Do you remember? And they would let leaders go in first into the auditorium and they would turn on music
Oh, yeah.
and we would save rows for our students. And then they would let the students in and the students would find us and come sit with us. Well, to make it easier for the students to see us, the leaders would stand up on the chairs
Right.
and they'd be playing like Boston or Journey or
Right.
something totally clean
Some
and
classic
inappropriate.
that everybody knows.
And the leaders would be like dancing, you know, and having a good time. Well, later I have a meeting with a bunch of youth pastors and there's this one youth pastor from the church that exists.
Okay. I have no idea where you're going with this. Like,
Well,
I
listen.
I know. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm going to hold your hands.
Wrist only wrist. And he said about that camp that we went to, I never go back to that camp ever again. And I was like, why? What happened? He's like, it was like a rave, you know, like we would go into chapel and leaders would be standing on chairs and
Dropping acid.
oh.
Wait, no, different camp. Okay. See, that's why I didn't know where you're going with it.
And he was saying like they were dancing. It was like a rave. It was so inappropriate. And I was just like on the inside turning red because I'm like, I am that leader on the chair dancing to Boston. Like, woo, win a camp, you know, like having the time of my life. And he was just appalled. And so it's just so funny, like how even within the body of Christ, like
Right.
chemistry is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like
Theology was the same. But,
oh yeah,
but
we
the
believe
vibe.
in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior,
Right.
you know, but it's just like no matter how much ministry experience I have or how good at my job I am, he will never hire me.
Yeah.
And I would probably never hire him because
Right.
it's just not a fit. But I love that because how many different types of people are there? And everybody needs a church that fits with their chemistry.
Yeah.
We need it. So all I'm saying, that big, long winter camp story, all I'm saying is that chemistry is a real thing, and make sure the people that you invite on your team have that same chemistry, that they're not the kind of people who are going to be appalled that you're standing on a chair and dancing.
Right.
Like, make sure that they are your people, that they are your tribe, that they are your squad, because if you want to have a really good time doing ministry, do it with people that you look forward to seeing, that you have fun with. And I got permission a long time ago to only hire people I like. I didn't know I was allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had to go off qualification and all
Right.
of this kind of stuff. And someone said to me once, well, do you like working with him? I said, no. And he's like, okay, then, like, so stop working with him. I'm like, I can do that?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know that chemistry was allowed to be a factor. So with that, another part of that is, can you have a friendship with this person? You know, I talk a lot about me and my leaders. We hang out outside of youth group and we genuinely, it's not like, oh, let's all put on name tags and like, hello, like, how are you and where do you work? You know, we just have so much fun. We have our own like little cult sense of humor, and we know where the line is,
Right.
and no one's like, oh, guy, did I offend them?
Right.
Like, you know, it's just, we can just relax and
Yeah.
it's so fun. We have the same taste in music and in games and in food.
Humor.
And yeah, we like all watch The Office together and just have a great time.
It's interesting you say that, because in a lot of other lines of work, they would say, well, you're the boss. These are your employees. They're not your friends.
Right.
And there really needs to be that distinction, because they'll walk all over you, or they'll take advantage of that, or they won't know where the line is. But I
Yeah.
feel like ministry is different.
It
in that
is.
there's such big relationships where your regular 9-to-5 job might be I clock in and I clock out, and that's it. Like, unless there's a Christmas party or something, it's like, I don't see these people outside of work, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. And you're hiring simply based on, like you said, qualification.
Right.
But this is different, where it is like, would I be willing to hang out with that person any other time? Like, do we have that chemistry? Like you're saying, do I want to see them? Do I want to hang out with them? And are they a good fit for the ministry in the whole?
Yeah. And I mean, you're not looking for your new BFF, you know, by any means. Like, please don't just allow
Yeah.
people that are like, these are all my bros, like, no room for anyone else. Like, we're not creating a little clique. We need
Yeah.
the age span of my team is huge. The gender span, like all of it, like
Male,
Male and female.
Oh, okay.
I'm like saying it's not just like a girl club
Right.
or something like that. Like me and all the girls, we have fun. It's like I make sure we have young, medium, and
more medium.
all
Extra medium.
What if that was a size?
Like you go to a store and you're like, I had a lot to eat this Thanksgiving. Normally I'm a medium. Today I'm an extra medium. After Christmas, double extra medium.
Something like that. So yeah, basically make sure you have like a wide span, but people who you click with and jive with and enjoy.
And that click with the wide variety of kids that you have coming to.
Yes.
Because that's the other thing. If you had a carbon copy of either yourself, and I know we did an episode on duplicate yourself, but that's something completely different. But if you have a carbon copy of yourself or one type of person, and we've all seen that group of friends come in where you're like, did you guys plan to all wear the exact same thing and do the exact same, all that.
Yeah.
But you want to have a little bit of variety because not everyone's going to fit in. Like you're going to have
and
kids
chemistry
that come
has
all
nothing
over.
to do with like similarities.
True.
Like you can have chemistry with people that are vastly different
Right.
than you, but you could sit down at a table and have a great time with.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not like, clones of the youth pastor. That's just, of course. And then the other chemistry piece, especially if you're using this filter system for a hire, is you want to make sure they have chemistry with not just you, but your team. And that's mostly for someone that you're going to hire. Because, volunteers may or may not have chemistry with each other. That's okay. They'll kind of gravitate toward the people that, they click with mostly. But if you're having someone lead your volunteers or lead your other staff or work closely with other staff, you want to make sure that your other staff gets to kind of chime in on that chemistry piece also, because they're going to have to work with them as well. And when your whole staff is working well together, we all win.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the third?
Number 3, C.
All right. Competency. Now, we put this last because I feel like some types of competency can be taught. And so if they are they're eager and willing is mostly what we're looking for. This is not one that I necessarily write someone off right away. I put character first, then chemistry, and then I put competency at the bottom because sometimes, like, if you were to tell me 17 years ago what I would be doing for a job, I'd be like, I don't know how to do that. But it was someone being patient with me, teaching me, and I remained teachable. So under competency, I want to know, can they work? Can you work? Like, do you know how to just show up on time and focus and do what I've asked or do what needs to be done? Do you have some foresight to see what needs to be done before it's said and work independently to make that happen? Do you know how to gather resources to finish a project without some hand holding? Obviously not right at first, but for the long haul. And here's the biggest one is, are you teachable? So sometimes, someone might not be super competent. Like, I've never worked in an office before. How do you work the mail machine? But they are totally willing to learn and they retain information, and then they can continue and try to do it on their own. And then little by little, you teach them everything you know. To expect someone to come to you ready-made with competency is really a big ask, I think. I think it's kind of up to us to coach them through it and in order for them to get where we'd like them to be. So for that to happen, they need to be eager to learn. They need to be eager to serve. They need to show that they're improving over time and maybe showing tendencies to go above and beyond the bare minimum. I always watch when people arrive and leave, especially for a hire, because I always feel like if I'm still here, obviously the job isn't done.
Yeah.
So ask me how we can work together so we can lock up and go, So not someone who's like, well, I did my job, like, I guess I'm going, but eager to serve and be a team player. I think that's really, really important to me. I don't care if things get done perfectly all the time. I just care that you have my back. We're a team. You're a team player and you're a hard worker. And so those are some of my key points for competency. But you could fill in the blank for what's really important to you because you're going to have to work with this person, and the way that you work. What is the perfect complement to that, and teach them hopefully how to be that. And, here's the bottom line too about some competency things. When it comes to leadership, some things can't be taught. Like what skills, I would say sometimes people just need time, and you can kind of tell they've got it in them. They just need more exposure or experience or time to develop. But then there's like leadership skills that you'll just kind of in your gut know you just don't have it, and it doesn't mean that person is useless. It just means, maybe the right roles to put them in and the roles that they're not going to really thrive in. So be observant to what kind of person is this? Are they like a leader that's got to fly and they need more room? Or is this a person who's going to work really well on a technical level or behind the scenes or in an administrative role or in an organizational role, stuff like that. So help them play to their strengths. And
that's a good one.
Build on an island of strengths for them. Because sometimes just constantly trying to get people to improve their weaknesses, it's like ramming your head into a wall, because it's like, that's like, some people just don't have a teaching gift.
Right.
And they will pass, they'll give you a C+, B- message consistently, but they're never going to advance beyond that. Find where their A game is and put them in roles, that not every pastor has to hit a home run at every staff member, doesn't have to hit a home run on every single aspect of your job. Help them play to their strengths.
Or pastor for that matter. I mean, the body of Christ, there's a wide variety of useful talents that people have that all contribute to the same cause.
Totally.
And not, obviously it'd be more important for a pastor to have as many of those as possible, but for your volunteers to be able to plug and play them, where they thrive.
For sure.
And seeing that, and what, because, I think we've talked about this before, but hammering in like, oh, here's your weakness, so I'm going to keep trying to get that weakness to be a strength is wasting time. Where it's like, what are your strengths? Let's continue to feed into those. 100%. And some of those weaknesses can be taught or helped out. But why we'll row against the current, just go with what they're good at. And it takes
a very intuitive leader to work alongside them, and not get impatient and be like, oh, they don't know how to do anything, Like our job is to raise people up in leadership and in ministry, not like, okay, I need like an assistant or someone like to make me great. It's, we've talked about this many times. My philosophy on leadership is always like, well, I'm here to make you great to the best of my ability. And that is putting people where they're strong and where they shine, and help a strong gift get even stronger.
Yeah. Well, there you go. The 3 C's: character, chemistry, and competency. And that should wrap up part 4 of a 2-part series. And maybe there'll be a 5th part. Who knows? Whatever.
Extra medium.
Yep. There you go. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And make sure you subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.